Hey retro fans, welcome to another episode of Retro Gaming Memories. In this episode we're going to be looking at my Amstrad collection. This video is actually going to be part one of 3, I think. I've got quite a few Amstrad games and I think it would be kind of boring and far too long if I went through the whole collection, so I'm going to split it up into 3 parts. Part 1 that we're going to do just now obviously is the sort of budget cassette sized games, the sort of small normal single tapes. Episode 2 is going to be the I don't know what you'd call them, but the sort of double tape sized games, and then part 3 will be the sort of large boxed clamshell and compilations type video. So hopefully you'll enjoy all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a bit of a nostalgia trip for me. I've got the games as per usual, just off camera here. And the fun thing is that I can't really, it's been a while since I've looked at my Amstrad collection, so I can't actually remember half of what I've got. But we'll have a look. I have stripped the collection down, as you may or may not know, a while ago, a couple of months back, I actually sold off a lump of my collection. I was getting sort of gaming burnout. So I got rid of quite a lot of stuff, and I did strip down some of my Amstrad collection as well. So the games that I've got are games that have either got nostalgia for me, or I've got nostalgia for them. So there's a nostalgia element to it, or they're games that I really like, or they're games that I wanted back in the day but never got. So it's a kind of more refined collection to my taste. Now, they're not all great games, you know. I like some odd, sometimes poor games just because there's a nostalgia factor there. So some of these games aren't brilliant, and I'll say that off the bat, but they're good to me. So and hopefully, you know, as usual with these sort of collection videos, hopefully there'll be something in here that triggers a bit of a memory for you, or something you've maybe not seen before, piques your interest, whatever. But we'll dive right in. Again, they're not in any order. We'll just start with this one. I have picked this on purpose, actually, this one. That is the Amsoft Welcome to Amsoft cover tape. Now, when you got this, that's what it looked like. There was no case for it. It was in the polystyrene in the side of the box. But I made a little official looking case. Let's do this. I did a video the other day there about PlayStation stuff, and I held the case upside down, so this one hopefully is the right way. So all I did was actually scanned an Amsoft game. Can't remember which one it was, but it was that coloured blue. It might have been Harrier Attack, actually. I scanned the manual, that's from the Amstrad manual, and got a couple of bits of sort of clip art and just put them on and made this little cover tape. So yeah, that's the second game that I ever played, or the second thing that I ever did. The first game that I ever played on my Amstrad, and we'll get to it, was Fruit Machine. My mum and dad managed to get that loaded by reading instructions and whatnot. So but I went through with the manual and loaded this up and watched the demos and things on it, and there's a couple of sort of game demos and a sprite editor and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. So yeah, a lot of nostalgia for that. It's not brilliant, obviously, it's just a demo tape, but you know, it was good fun and it was cracking. Obviously all the computers came with these sort of demo tapes, demo CDs, I was going to say demo tapes. You know, you had the Spectrum Horizons tape and all that, and the C64 had one. So so anyway, that's the Welcome to Amsoft demo tape. Right, Caves of Doom. The thing about the Amstrad was, prior to that I had an Atari 2600 and I loved it. You know, that was my gateway to being a computer games addict. But I don't remember having a huge amount of games for the Atari, simply because I was still a kid. So any games that I got were kind of birthday, Christmas type purchases. You know, I didn't have any money to buy them other than birthday or pocket money. It was very rare for me to save up pocket money because these games were still, expensive. I don't think my mum and dad would have let me pay you know, whatever they were, I can't even remember, 20, 30 quid or whatever it was a game. So any I did buy would be on sale. Anyway, when I got the Amstrad, obviously there was the budget market, you know, Mastertronic and whatnot, and the $199 range, and all of a sudden these games became available to me. You know, pocket money. I could theoretically save up pocket money or use my pocket money. I had a paper round when I was a kid, as probably everybody did, you know, and I could save up that money, and birthday money, Christmas money, whatever, any money that I had basically as a kid went on Amstrad magazines or games, and it was because of the budget type range that I could finally afford to buy my own games. And it was an addiction because I would buy not quite anything, but almost anything. You know, if ever I found a shop when we were on holiday, if I found a paper shop or something, or a toy shop that sold computer games, I would just have to buy something. Not always the best quality games, but you know, I would have to buy it anyway. And Caves of Doom is one of these games that I kind of mentioned in the intro, where it's not necessarily a good game, but I've got nostalgia for it just because it was one of my first early purchases that I bought with my own money. I bought it primarily based on the cover art, because the cover art, let's get that without glare. Oh god, it's going to be hard to get without glare. Stop it. There we go. Hopefully that's good enough. Yeah. Caves of Doom, the cover art is cracking, and you know, that cover art, as I've mentioned in my previous episode about cover artwork, it was cover art that got me to buy most of the games that I bought. So Caves of Doom cover art was brilliant. The actual game itself is a kind of Jet Set Willy Manic Miner type platform puzzle game thing. It's not brilliant. It does have an editor though, which is really good. You can edit the screens. You can pause at any time and edit the screens and make your own entrances into other screens and stuff, which is quite mad. So there was a lot going for it, and maybe I should go back and give it another go. You know, but I remember it being kind of poor or too hard, or there was just something about it that I didn't quite like. But I've got it for the nostalgia of the cover art, and I should probably go back and give it another go. But you know. Right, the first of the Amsoft titles, bar the demo tape, Roland in Time, not for resale. I think this was I think later on Amsoft gave you a pack of games which came with a joystick and all that kind of stuff, and I think Roland in Time was one of those. I never had this back in the day, or I never owned it back in the day. My pal Richard had it, and I used to borrow it off of him to play. Again, it's a sort of Jet Set Willy type game. There was obviously all these clones of Manic Miner, that kind of thing. Haven't played it too much, to be honest, but yeah, quite good, the Roland series. And if you don't know, the Roland character was basically the mascot of the Amstrad. There were a series of Roland games, although he kind of changed in every single game. It was a different character, they just used the name Roland. Yeah, so that was the kind of main character that was used to sell the Amstrad. Yeah, there we go. Here's another one, Roland in the Caves. So this was part of the Amsoft 12 pack. There we go. The Amsoft 12 pack, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Basically, when you bought an Amstrad, the first kind of generation of Amstrad, you got a 12 pack of software. I was going to say 12 games, a 12 pack of software worth £199, apparently. And there were quite a few Amsoft games in there. And Amsoft didn't write, I don't know if they wrote any original games. They all had, like, this one is by Indescomp. They were basically republishes of existing games, sometimes with the titles changed. So yeah, the Roland in the Caves was one of that 12 pack of software that you got with it, which, to be honest, was a great thing when you got it, because it had lots of different games. It had arcade action, it had Fruit Machine, it had puzzle games, and it came with a word processor and some educational software and stuff as well. So it was a really good introduction pack, which is obviously what it was designed for. Introductory pack to the world of Amsoft and Amstrad games and stuff. And I loved it, and I played everything in the pack. including Roland in the Caves, which is hard as hell. It looks nice, but you're a little flea that has to jump about all these kind of platforms and things, and bizarrely there's a pterodactyl, I think it is, chasing you. But it's really hard, or at least as a kid it was really hard. I haven't really played it much because, again, I've got these memories of it being hard, and I should probably go back and give it another go. But it was a nice little game to get for nothing. And continuing in that vein, I'm picking these at random, but they're all kind of just appearing. The Galactic Plague, another Amsoft freebie in the 12 pack. And this was basically the Amsoft equivalent of Galaxians. It was just the standard Galaxian type shooter with aliens coming down in different patterns from the top of the screen. I quite enjoyed it. It was, I think, almost universally panned for being either too hard or too easy. I can't remember, but it wasn't a very well liked game, which I thought was unfair. It was alright, it was playable, and it was a freebie. I think if I'd paid $11.95 for it or something like that, then I would have been fuming. But as a freebie, on Christmas morning to be playing it, it was great. And the fun thing about it is that if you hit escape during it, it's programmed in BASIC. So if you hit escape during the gameplay, you can actually list the program, and you can see the listing of the program. I've never managed to list it and print it and try kind of hacking it or changing any of the sprites or anything, but it's fun to be able to do that. I don't think any other Amsoft games do that. Not that I've found anyway. But okay, so next one, Buggy Boy, the Elite Encore range, and it was Elite, I think, but Encore anyway. I'm sure that was part of the Elite group. Yes, Elite Systems. Sorry, I'm off on a tangent. That was the Elite budget range, basically. Buggy Boy is obviously an arcade conversion, and this is actually a really nice conversion. It takes an age to load. It's about 10 minutes, I think, to load, but it's a single load, which is really quite impressive. And it looks really nice. It looks like the arcade game. It's a representation, obviously, but it's all the elements of the game are there, and it actually runs really fast when you get it going. So it's a really good conversion. Really, really nice game, and it was only $2.99 back in the day. Another budget game. Most of these are budget, I think, anyway. But The Wild Bunch. What a game! This was brilliant. This bridged the gap between adventure games and sort of arcade games, because I didn't really like adventures and RPGs and stuff when I was a kid. I was far too impatient to be typing commands and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to shoot stuff. But this kind of made you think a little bit. There was RPG elements. Basically, it's a story of you're a sheriff, or vigilante or something. Anyway, you're a cowboy. Blamed for a murder you did not commit. Your only hope is to identify and capture the real killer, a member of the notorious gang, the Wild Bunch. So yeah, so basically you get shown a picture of the real bad guy, and you have to you can go to the pub and you can go and buy things, and you've got a certain amount of money, and you have to move to different towns to try and identify the real killer, and you can get into a shootout, which is that scene there, where you have to draw. It does a countdown. You have to, I think it's hit spacebar. It's been a long time since I've played it, but you can do a kind of cowboy shootout, which is pretty cool. And if you drink too much red eye, which was the kind of the beer of or spirit, whatever, you get a little bit drunk, and all sorts of daft things happen. And your horse, if you don't feed and water your horse properly, it dies halfway through a long journey and all sorts of stuff. So there's kind of strategy elements to it as well, which is quite nice, but it's good fun. And it was $1.99 or whatever it was. Cracking. Another little Amsoft title here, Bridget. One of the 12 pack, the free games. This was almost universally hated, I think. Very simple. What was the word I was going to use there? A very simple idea, basically. I was going to use a word that's just went right out of my head. Simple idea, and basically you've got this path of bridges, and there are 4 gates on it, a sort of north, south, east and west type gate or bridge, sorry. And basically you push the joystick or key for a corresponding bridge. So up the top of the screen, if you push up, it closes the bridge. If you pull down, it closes the bridge at the bottom. Right and left do the sort of east and west bridges. And there's basically a set of houses up the top, and people start coming out, sort of lemming styley, start walking down the bridge. So you have to close the bridge, walk down the path. God, I'm explaining this rubbish, aren't I? They're walking down the path with the bridges in it, and you have to close the bridge to allow them to pass safely. And there are obviously more and more people keep coming, so it gets a bit kind of crazy. You know, you're shutting the top bridge and the bottom bridge and the left and all that kind of stuff. And I think you can lose up to 5 people or something like that. Yeah, universally hated, I think. I thought it was alright. It was a bit of fun. It was something different. It wasn't too bad. It looked quite nice for what I remember. Been a long time since I've played it, but yeah. Another budget release, Dan Dare. The Pilot of the Future, the Mastertronic Ricochet label. A budget re-release of a full price game. And Dan Dare was a big character in, I think it was Eagle comics, that I kind of vaguely remember from my childhood. I never really read the comics that much, but I do know that that's Dan Dare, and that was the Mekon who was his little kind of adversary. But this is a really nice little game, side-scrolling kind of shooter. I think there's kind of adventurous elements to it, but it's a nice little game. Plays, it looks really nice on the Amstrad as well. Good graphics. So you know how I mentioned games that are not necessarily good but have nostalgia for me? Ninja Master is one of those. The 199 silver range. I don't know, I love the Firebirds. These were one of the kind of range of games that I would go in, and if I saw them in the shop I would probably buy them, because I really liked that packaging. Not just the cover art, but the kind of the way the border all comes round and the little silver logo and all that kind of stuff. I'm weird like that, but I like the packaging on these things. And you know, I loved ninjas when I was a kid, so Ninja Master, I thought this is for me. And it looked alright, you know, the graphics there look alright if you've never played it. And basically you're just this big huge sprite in the middle of the game, and there are various things that you have to do. But it's terrible. You have to block throwing stars and all sorts of things for memory, but it's sluggish and it's not very good. I think I liked it back in the day. I don't remember disliking it, but certainly going back to it as an adult, it explodes your rose tinted glasses at high speed. It's not very good. Talking about things exploding, Daley Thompson's Super Test, the killer of many joysticks. This was a follow-up to Daley Thompson's Decathlon. And I think there's 2 days to this, I think, if I remember correctly. There was a day, I'm just checking the tape. I think day 1 is on side 1 of the tape and day 2 is on side 2 of the tape, and there was 10 different, is it 10? 8? Something like that. Different activities that you had to do. This was basically Ocean's version of Hypersports. It had swimming and skeet shooting and all sorts of stuff. Cracking game. Brilliant Bob Wakelin artwork there. Yeah, good fun, but it did kill your joystick. Jesus, you had to do that whole moving the joystick thing left and right. Yeah, between that and Decathlon. Although Combat School, which I'll talk about in the other video, Combat School, that was a joystick crippler as well. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. Another Amsoft title, good God. This wasn't one of the freebies, this was a proper release. Laser Warp. Never had this back in the day. It was just one of the titles I went through when I first started collecting again from Amstrad. I went through and I had the grand kind of vision of collecting all the Amstrad, I'm at it again, Amsoft, what is wrong with me? I had this grand vision of collecting all the Amsoft titles, And I did have a fair stab at it. You know, I had probably 20 or 30 of them. But a lot of them are quite poor. And there was no nostalgia factor there for me. So I ended up kind of selling them on. Some of them went for quite decent money, which I managed, you know, let me reinvest it in my room and buy some other games and things that I wanted. But anyway, Laser Warp, from what I remember, is it might be a kind of version of Phoenix, the arcade game. It's just a sort of Galaxians type shooter, space shooter, you know, that kind of thing. But I think it's not bad from what I remember. But yeah, anyway, that's that. Another Amsoft title, Blagger. Big nostalgia for this. This is another Manic Miner style game. And I remember getting this. I was with my dad in Gorgie in Edinburgh. That guy looks like Jabba the Hutt, just noticed. But yeah, I was in Gorgie and I can't remember. We were there for some reason. I don't know what we were going for. Must have been paying a bill or something, I don't know. But there was a shop that had computer games in the window. I can't even remember what type of shop it was. I can remember where it was, but I can't remember what type of shop it was. Anyway, I went in and my dad said, I'll buy you a game. And they had this, I think it was discounted to $2.99. It certainly wasn't like $7.95 or whatever. It was down to sort of budget price. And that was the one I fancied just because it looked pretty cool. Quite nice cover art. Because a lot of the Amsoft games, the cover art's kind of poor. But this looked pretty good. So yeah, so my dad bought me it, and it's actually really good. I really like it. The first screen's a bit of a challenge, and the second screen's a horrible challenge. And I don't know that I've actually seen the third screen, but lots of nostalgia for it. And again, it's that Manic Miner type platforming game, but it's good fun and worth checking out if you haven't played it already. Another one that I bought myself, the start of the kind of, not the start of the Codemasters, but the, you know, by the time I bought this, Codemasters had become a kind of a quality label. You knew you were going to get a decent game for your £2 or £3. But ATV Simulator was cracking, nice big sprites, and it was basically a new variant of Kickstart 2. If you've never played it, it's kind of split screen with your ATV going over a course, very like Kickstart 2. There's jumps and all that kind of stuff. If you take them too fast or too slow, your guy goes catapulting over the front of your ATV and you have to run back and all that. So it's very like Kickstart, but a great little game, and yeah, worth a look. Soul of a Robot. I can't remember anything about this, which is terrible. But yeah, looking at the screen displays, this is one thing about these games that they had inside. They had the screen displays, and the tapes. All the Mastertronic tapes were like that. Were the white tape with the black labels. So lots of nostalgia for me looking at these things. But the screen displays look like your typical Manic Miner type game. I honestly can't remember anything about Soul of a Robot, apart from I don't think I liked it that much. But I had it back in the day and I bought it myself, which is why I've got it now, because again, there's the nostalgia factor there for it. Don't remember much about it though. Part of me's got a feeling that this game is the follow-up to Soul of a Robot. I can't remember where I would have got that idea. But non-terraqueous or non-terraqueous, I have no idea, but yeah. Which technically means not of the earth or water. Anyway, yeah, the cover art on this looks astounding, and you just think, God, there's going to be big cyborgy robot things and shooting and all sorts of good stuff. There is a little bit, but I remember playing this a little bit back in the day, but I can't remember that much about it, apart from it being really hard. But yeah, anyway. Another Mastertronic release, Speed King. This was the Amstrad equivalent of, or Mastertronic equivalent of, Hang On in the arcades, sort of formula bikes, racing and all that kind of stuff. I never owned this back in the day. My pal had it, and I used to borrow it off him all the time. Great game. It's a really nice game actually. There's loads of different tracks and things you can pick at the beginning of it. Another one of these lovely Silver Range Firebird games, Thrust. This looked amazing when I loaded this up at first. Really high resolution graphics, and it looks like a vector game. I think it's emulating a vector, or trying to be. It's not emulating anything. It's trying to be a vector game in the way that it's done. And the concept is based on an arcade game whose name escapes me just now. But you know, there is gravity at play. Would it be Gravitar? Don't know. Anyway, you have to kind of guide your ship down through caverns to get this kind of fuel pod thing, and then guide that back up through the caverns while shooting all the bad guys and getting back up into space. But you have gravity pulling on your ship, so you know, if you let it go, it will accelerate and plummet to the earth at high speed. So the physics in this is brilliant. When you've got the little ball, it counterweights you, so you have to adjust your flight mechanics to kind of be able to fly properly. So a lot going on in that game. The coding was brilliant in it. There was a follow-up, Thrust 2, which I never had, but Thrust is a great little game. Fighting Warrior is up next. Now I think this was a full price release back in the day. A bit of a Spectrum feel to it, the you know, sort of monochrome graphics and things, but it's a kind of walking about left to right, sort of flick screen type game with bad guys coming at you and you just hack them to death with your sword. I think there's kind of probably sort of mythical elements to it and all that, but it's great fun. Melbourne House was another company back in the day. You know, their games were fantastic. It was a mark of a good software house. Next up is Xanagrams. Well, that's how I always pronounced it. It might have been cross anagrams, X anagrams, I've no idea. But this was one of the Amsoft 12 pack that you got. A sort of puzzle game, basically like a crossword type thing, with a variation on it. But it was good, good fun. I used to play that back in the day, even though I was terrible at it. I used to cheat all the time. But up next is Spiky Harold, another little budget game, where you are a little hedgehog, no relation to Sonic. Again, your sort of Jet Set Willy type game, platform mechanic. It's really hard from what I remember. I'm sure that's got a loading tune in it though, which was quite rare on the Amstrad. Next up, Pro Ski Simulator. Another Codemasters release, one of the kind of earlier ones I think, but it was great fun. The physics in it wasn't brilliant, you just did sort of downhill skiing, but good fun. Shorts Fuse, another one of the Firebird games. I love that they put the screenshots on the front, these were always great. These types of games, or this sort of cover art, when I see these I don't think of the Amstrad games, I always think of Commodore 64 games, because my pal had a Commodore 64 and he had a lot of these Firebird games. Booty was the one that I remember. But yeah, so when I see this type of packaging, I always think of the Commodore 64 stuff as opposed to the Amstrad. But Short Fuse was your kind of platformy, single screen platform game, where you had to defuse a bomb basically, but it was so hard. And I remember actually talking to the developer of it on Facebook. I think he was on one of the Amstrad Facebook pages, and he didn't apologise for it being so hard, but he said he was young and he didn't realise how hard they had actually made it, because when he was developing, obviously he knew every single bit of the screen and all that kind of stuff, so he could play through it no problem. But yeah, it's rock solid. Chiller, with, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, 5 astonishing screens. Is that in focus? Come on, focus. No. Anyway, 5 astonishing screens of action, my word. Obviously taking inspiration from Thriller. Yeah, it was a not bad little kind of platformy type game, set in, I think the first screen was a graveyard, and then it was about a cinema or something like that. Can't remember, but it was alright for £2. It was an alright game. Advanced Pinball Simulator. Never had this back in the day. This was a game that I actually played on an emulator first, fairly recently. I'm talking like 2 or 3 years ago, and was quite impressed with it. I went through a bit of a pinball phase, trying like virtual pinball and playing pinball on the iPad and the PlayStation and all that kind of stuff. And there was a game called 3D Pinball, I think it was, a Mastertronic game, and it said, I can't remember what I was looking at, but it said if you enjoyed this you might like this game, and it was Advanced Pinball Simulator. So I gave it a go, and it's actually really good. It emulates or tries to be a kind of a wide body pinball game, so there's different kind of elements to it. So it's not got the kind of structure of a single pinball table. It's got bits off to the side and things. It's got all the elements. It's just a kind of placed slightly weirdly. But the physics is pretty good, and there's lots of good things that happen. So, you know, you can, if you hit a certain amount of switches and things, it'll unlock certain parts of the table and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on in it. Oliver Twins, cracking game. So yeah, Pinball Simulator, great. Flash Gordon, loved the movie Flash Gordon when I was a kid, and this is actually quite a cool game. It's I don't know, what does it remind me of? Sort of Platoon actually had the same kind of mechanic. It's a walkie about type adventure game where you can kind of move in and down through the screens at certain points. There's kind of doorways almost, gaps and fences and all that kind of thing that you can move through to go to a different part of the level. So there's a kind of adventuring element to the start of it. Apparently you can get on his sort of bike thing, his flying bike, according to the screenshot. I have never seen that. I don't think I ever got past the first level, but it's pretty cool. Although Flash Gordon from memory looks a bit more like Tron than Flash Gordon, but yeah, you can shoot stuff and all that kind of thing. Pretty good. Another Amsoft title come up, 3D Stunt Rider. Never had this again. It was my pal that had this. Very simple. I think you choose the number of red buses that you want to jump over. I think Eddie Kidd was the kind of British equivalent of oh my god, what's his name? Evel Knievel. Aye, so Eddie Kidd was the British equivalent of Evel Knievel, and he made the kind of the record books by jumping over double-decker buses. So that's what this is based on, I think. You choose the number of buses and all that kind of stuff, and then it's got a first-person perspective of you on the bike, and you kind of rev it up and off you go, and you have to get your angle and your speed and all that kind of stuff right to jump the buses, otherwise you overshoot the ramp or you don't make it and all that kind of stuff. So it's very simple. I don't think there's anything else to it apart from that. Certainly I've never seen anything else, but it's quite good fun. Joe Blade. I was a fan of Players stuff as well. You couldn't really get more early 80s packaging than that, could you? But Joe Blade, they had a game, what was it called? Big Top Barney, I think it was, that I don't actually have. But it was a copy of Circus Charlie, an arcade game, which has nothing at all to do with this. But that was my introduction to Players games, and I thought these are quite good. They're decent kind of representations, and they were you know, nicely programmed. So when I saw Joe Blade, which is a kind of, again, the side scrolling shooty thing, I thought, you know what, it's got a guy with a gun in it. That'll do for me for my £2. And it's pretty good, and there are 3 official Joe Blade games. There is potentially a 4th one called Prison Riot, I think it's called, or Prison Escape, Prison Riot, which was kind of, it looks just like a Joe Blade game, and I think it was going to be Joe Blade 4, but I think they changed the name of it for some reason. So Anyway, another Amsoft title, Roland Goes Digging. Don't think I've actually played this. But again, Roland has changed guys yet again. But yeah, I don't recall playing that, so can't actually tell you anything about it, unfortunately. But you know. So earlier on I mentioned that Amsoft didn't really write their own games and republished other people's stuff under the Amsoft label. Perfect example. Amsoft's version of Manic Miner, which is identical to the Software Projects version. And I've got this particular version. I think I have got the Software Projects version of Manic Miner kicking about, I can't remember. But I got this particular version because of the nostalgia factor. The same shop that I got Blagger from, you know, several months later, we were back doing whatever it was we were doing, and my dad said, would you like a game, as he usually did when he was out, and Manic Miner was the one that I picked. So yeah, so I've got nostalgia for the Amsoft version of Manic Miner. Moving nicely on to its sequel, Jet Set Willy. Yeah, not much you can say about Jet Set Willy. This was brand new when I bought it. It still is minty fresh. This was actually sealed when I bought it, so I had the pleasure of opening a 30-year-old game from scratch. It was factory sealed, which was quite nice. So it's mint condition, which is quite nice. I have played it to make sure the tape works, but yeah, Jet Set Willy, not much you can say about it. Hunchback. It was an Ocean game, but Amsoft published their version of it, their artwork. It's joystick only, and if I remember correctly, the first time I got this, I never owned this back in the day, but my pal had it and he gave me a loan of it, and I didn't have a joystick, so I couldn't actually play it. It's not bad. It's obviously an early release, so you know, it's all right. It's playable. If you're old, you know, these games were kind of simple and fun, and you can let a lot go. So yeah, it's all right. Next up, Finders Keepers. This was the second game that I ever bought with my own money. The first is in there as well, which is Formula 1 Simulator. But I went on Boxing Day up to Boots, the chemist, in Princess Street in Edinburgh, with I think my aunt had sent me £5 for Christmas. So we went up to Boots. I think my mum and dad were buying something else from Boots, and they had a computer department, which was quite bizarre for a chemist, but they had a computer and sort of audio visual department up the stairs. And I went up there and had a look at the games, and picked Formula 1 Simulator and Finders Keepers because it looked cool. There was a knight and all that kind of stuff. Again, the artwork looked great. You know, there was a knight jumping about in a castle. Happy days. Got it home, hated it, absolutely hated it. I know a lot of people do like this game. I just don't get on with it at all. And I think there's some not bad elements to it. I think it did quite a lot because there's a kind of maze section to it and all that kind of stuff. It's your standard kind of Jet Set Willy platformy type stuff, but I think you can collect stuff, and it was just a bit too complex for me, for my young brain, and I never really got on with it, and that's kind of shaped my memories of it and stuff. I don't really play it. Chucky Egg, absolute classic. First played that on the BBC at school. Our chemistry department had it, and used to play that all the time. Absolute classic. I'm going to skip through these a little bit quicker now because I'm aware that I've been waffling on for nearly 40 minutes. Destructo. I think its full title is The Island of Dr. Destructo. But it was a cracking little game, based on an arcade game, whose title again escapes me. But yeah, you just kind of fly about and bomb an island. But it was great fun. Chucky Egg 2, a huge disappointment because I expected more of the first stuff. It was trying to be a Jet Set Willy adventure platformy thing. It's not bad the way it does it, but you were expecting more of Chucky Egg, so it was a huge disappointment from that point of view. Park Patrol, another Firebird, lovely thing. It's alright, run about and collect stuff and save people, and yeah, it's alright. Mr. Freeze, really hard game. Can't really remember what the premise of it is, but you have to kind of freeze bad guys. Oh, I can't remember. It's not brilliant. This, on the other hand, is brilliant. Who Dares Wins 2. As far as I'm aware, the first Who Dares Wins was never released on the Amstrad. And this was essentially a budget version of Commando, run and gun type game. Some people like this more than the Amstrad conversion of Commando. I think it's different enough to be its own thing, but it's a great game. Night Gunner, another fun game. I really like this, and yeah, it is this one. There was two games that were very similar, and I always get them mixed up. But yeah, basically you had planes flying towards you, and you had to shoot them at the sky, sort of like the beginning of Beachhead. But then there was kind of bombing runs and all that kind of stuff in it. So quite a lot to it. Nice little game, especially for whatever it was, $1.99. Metal Army, player's game, running about, shoot stuff, beautiful graphics for a budget game. Yeah, really nice, and the cover art looked cracking. Pipeline 2, puzzle game, pretty good fun. The thing that's been emulated so many times, basically there's a pipeline and you have to fill up tanks with water, but your pipeline can break and you have to fix things in certain ways to route the water to the correct tank and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a little bit of budget fun. Tornado Low Level, never had this back in the day, but I did play the Spectrum version. My pal had the Spectrum version of it, and it was only recently that I played the Amstrad version again on an emulator, and I thought I need to get this because it's so fast. It's ridiculously fast, but it's a great little game, great fun, and it's a classic. Steve Davis Snooker, about $7.95. I just noticed that, like, that's cool. Yeah, Steve Davis Snooker. Obviously, Steve Davis was the guy back in the day, and this snooker game is pretty good. It's the one that I remember playing most. There were obviously lots of snooker games out on the 8-bit machines, but that's the one I remember playing most. And it was good fun. It's a good little snooker game. So Lancelot. I got this because I used to borrow this off my pal, and I remember quite liking it back in the day. It's just, again, Jet Set Willy type screens. Quite fun cover art. But playing it now, it's not really held up. It's not brilliant. Next up, Super Robin Hood. My copy here is signed by the Oliver twins, Philip and Andrew. Don't know if that will come up. There we go, in gold. I met them down at Blackpool. This was a game, I had huge nostalgia for it because there used to be a place in Corstorphine where I grew up, and it was called The Village, and it was a sort of shopping centre. And my sister took me in one day to have a look. I was only young, and she took me in to have a look, and there was a little stall thing there selling computer games, and that was the first game that she ever bought me. And I got it home, and it's great fun, and it's got speech in it. The speech in it is brilliant. So yeah, great nostalgia for that, and you know, I got the Oliver twins to sign it. Raging Beast, another one of these Firebird cracking looking games. It's a bullfighting game, bizarrely. Something that I don't actually agree with. I don't like bullfighting. I don't like any animals being hurt, but it was a not bad little game. It's quite good fun. Can't really remember that much about it. It's very simple, but Rock and Wrestle. This was absolutely brilliant. I loved this. wasn't really into wrestling that much when I was a kid, and this was pre-WWF and all that kind of stuff. This was like giant haystacks kind of and Big Daddy wrestling. But it's got quite a lot of moves to it, and it's got a really nice arcade feel to it. I don't know if it was based on like one of the Sega wrestling games or something like that, but yeah, it's a great little wrestling game. Good fun. Motorbike Madness, the only flippy tape that I own, because the Amstrad version and Spectrum versions are both on this tape, one on each side. Motorbike Madness is an isometric game, sort of Marble Madness type game, but you're on a motorbike. It's quite hard to judge the kind of jumps and things that you have to do in it and getting speed right, so it's, yeah, I haven't played it too much. This, on the other hand, I have played lots. Kickstart 2, again, this really should need no introduction. Absolute classic. That side-scrolling course thing that you have to get over, and came with the editor, so the course designer, so you can make your own. Best played with friends, great fun. BMX Simulator, and again another classic. I think everybody that had an 8-bit played BMX Simulator, by the Darlings. Yeah, great game. Fruit Machine, first game that I ever played on my Amstrad, part of the the Amsoft 12 pack. It's actually a really nice Fruit Machine simulator. Not that I was really into the Fruit Machines as a kid, I would rather play the arcade games, but this actually plays a really good game of Fruit Machines, and it's good fun. Rolling on the Ropes, again in a different guise, part of the Amsoft 12 pack. This was the precursor to Tomb Raider. Roland is jumping about in tombs and caves looking for lost treasure, and there's ghosts and all sorts of things chasing him. Takes a while to load. Lots of nice big sprites, and it's quite good, but it flickers like a bugger. I think just because there's that much going on, which is a real shame, because it could have been really good. I still like playing it, it's good fun, but it does take about 10 minutes to load. An Amsoft title, Electro Freddy. This is when games could take the piss out of each other, basically. That's obviously supposed to be Clive Sinclair, and he's firing these computers down at you, which look like Spectrums in the game. Yeah, you're just working on a kind of assembly line thing, and he's chucking stuff at you, pies and all sorts of things. So it's a good fun, quite an original title. Spannerman, I like this. This is a bit like Pipeline 2 again, where you've got your pipes that burst, and Spannerman has to go along and fix them with his spanners, and there's rats coming at you, and you can't have your pipes leaking too much or the water fills up and it drowns and all sorts of stuff. Good little puzzle game. Space Hawks, your standard shooty. I think this was actually the one I mentioned. Laser Warp earlier on. I think this is the one that's obviously based on Phoenix, shooting the kind of Space Hawks. But yeah, quite a good game, good fun. Harrier Attack, loved this. Obviously this came out just around the time of the Falklands War, hence the Harriers. They were the proud to be British war machines of the day. Yeah, Harrier Attack is a kind of side-scrolly, plane flying, dodge the flak, bomb stuff type game. It's very crude now when you go back and see it. It's not really held up much, but if you've got nostalgia for it, it's good fun. Oh Mummy, what a game this was. Very simple. I was going to say Pac-Man-esque, but almost anti-Pac-Man. It was a bit more like Amadar actually when I think about it. You had to basically run around and run around a maze and cover sort of cover squares around a box to kind of colour in the square almost like Amadar. But you had mummies chasing you and all that kind of stuff. It was brilliant fun. Chopper Squad by Interceptor Micros. A lot of people think this is pants. This was as close as you were going to get to Jetpack on the Amstrad, I think. Jetpack was never released for the Amstrad, but this was a great little game where you had to collect parts. I think of a plane, if I remember correctly. I can't remember, but there was UFOs flying about. And you were this little chopper that shot round about. Single screen stuff, very like Jetpack, but a great little game. Speaking of Jetpack, I know I said it was never released. Someone did a conversion of it fairly recently and released it as a tape image, as a CDT tape image for emulators. So I converted that to a WAV file and then used my tape deck to convert the WAV file recorded back onto tape. So I actually have this properly as the Jetpack tape. I basically used the artwork from the Spectrum version of Jetpack, but made the little Amstrad kind of covers for it. So there is the proper full Jetpack instructions and all that kind of stuff. It's not as good as the Spectrum version, but it plays pretty well, and it's a decent representation of it. And I think if it come out in the day, it would have been great. But if you're used to that classic Spectrum title, nothing's going to touch it. So it's nice to have Jetpack on the Amstrad, but it's nowhere near as good as the Spectrum version. The Apprentice, another Mastertronic title. Don't remember much about this. I don't think I played it much back in the day, but yeah, I like the Mastertronic stuff, like I've mentioned, with the kind of in-game screenshots, for God's sake, within the inlays and the black tapes and all that kind of stuff. Formula 1 Simulator, first game I ever bought, and having that nostalgia of the white tape with the black labels and the in-game screenshots just brings it all flooding back. I wasn't even a huge Formula 1 fan when I was a kid, but the artwork on that looks awesome, and it was $1.99, and I thought, it looks great, and the music in that is brilliant. The title music is fantastic when you can select different courses and stuff. And it's a really nice game. You can blow your engine up and all sorts of stuff, so there was quite a lot to it, and I did blow my engine up. If you try and go manual gears and you don't know what you're doing, you will blow things up. It's quite crazy. Psy Combat, I nearly failed my O grades because of this. Like I mentioned, I loved ninjas and martial arts and all that kind of stuff back in the day, and when I was supposed to be studying for my O grade exams, we used to put on, my pal used to come round and we'd put on ZZ Top's Eliminator album and play Psy Combat for hours instead of studying. So I'm pretty good at Psy Combat. I'm rubbish at chemistry. That's why. Locomotion, simple puzzle game, sort of jigsaw type elements where it's another version of the sort of pipeline thing, where something is coming along and you have to kind of move elements in place before it reaches, the bit you're working on. So a simple puzzle game, but pretty good fun. Sultan's Maze, the Amstrad answer to 3D Monster Chase. I think it was a 3D Monster Chase, 3D Monster Maze, the one with the T-Rex in it, the ZX81 game. Anyway, this took an age to load, and it was a 3D maze, and it was pretty good, quite a lot to it. I went back and played this fairly recently, like about a year ago, and didn't realise just how much sort of strategy there was to it. You can only carry certain amounts of things at a time and all that kind of stuff, so there's quite a lot to it. It takes about 14 minutes to load. Kane. Again, I bought this based on that artwork. Loved the artwork in it, and it's quite gruesome. He's getting a bit blown out his hand there if you look at that, look, just there. But what a game this was, brilliant. Sort of 5 or 6 different levels to the game. From memory, I can't remember, it's been a while since I've played it. But you start off shooting birds and all that kind of stuff with a bow and arrow. And then there's a kind of bike chase, I was going to say. My brain's not working. A horse chase thing where you have to kind of beat a train and all that kind of stuff, and then there's a shootout in a town and all that. So great little game. There was a follow-up to it on the Commodore 64 and Spectrum, I think. The Amstrad never got the follow-up as far as I can remember. Entertainment USA's Ninja. What a game. I love this. Very simple. I don't know if it's based on, like, is it Karateka or Karateka, the Apple II type game. But basically you walk about and you discover bad guys and you have a fight with them, and then you can steal their weapons, but you can get like shuriken and all sorts of stuff. But classic game, love it. And the last one for this series is Star Saber, a modern game. Can't remember when this actually came out, but it's by Chronosoft, and it's quite nice because although there's nothing on the tape, it is a proper modern tape and all that. Quite nicely produced inlay, you know, feels like a proper inlay card. It's not just printed on paper. Can't actually read that without my glasses on, but you know. But anyway, it's a side-scrolling shooter game. I think it was like £4 or something like that. But it was just nice to buy a game, you know, in, well, I can't mind when I got this, 2015 maybe. But yeah, so Star Saber, great little game. Anyway, that's it for the sort of single cassette type games. There will be, like I say, another 2 parts coming, and I'll be doing the sort of double tape type games, sort of full price releases, in one of the next video. And then the video after that I'll do will be for the kind of big box and compilations and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do them sort of back to back, so you know, it might be a few weeks or whatever before I do part 2, because I don't want to bore everybody. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you like these kind of collection type videos, check out, I'll put a link to it, and it's Mr. Bad's, what does he call it, Mr. Bad's Retro Reviews or something. God, that's terrible, I can't actually remember the name of his channel, but I will put a link to it. And anyway, he's a great guy. I really like watching his videos, and he kind of, I took inspiration from his videos, shall we say, to do these collection type videos, because I had hit a bit of a rut with my videos. I had you know, I'd been doing all the memories of the machines and all that kind of stuff, and I thought, I don't know where to go next, and I stumbled across his videos where he was showing off his Amiga collection, and I thought, that's a great idea. So it was him that kind of inspired me to start doing these collection type videos and talking a little bit about the nostalgia for the games as you go through them. So I'm sure it's Mr. Bad's Retro Reviews. Anyway, I'll put a link to it below. Check him out, he's a really good guy, and I think you'll like his channel a lot. He's got a lot of good stuff, if you like these sort of collection type videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Tune in for the other parts, and you know, as ever, if you want to chat about any of this, get in touch, and you know, leave comments and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the usual stuff. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, and I'll see you next time.